Greetings from European Parliament in Brussels. Last time we were here, the invasion of Ukraine had just started, and we were all shattered from what we were witnessing from Ukraine at the time. Now, 1 month later, we have just recorded a new European report here in the studio behind me, asking the question, what does this mean for the future of Europe, for the future of the international system? Are we back to 1940, or I should say 1952, with the dividing up of Korea and a new Cold War, or is this something else, perhaps even worse? What we need to keep in mind when we're looking at Ukraine, and something that was mentioned in the program as well, is we have a country which has lived constantly since day one, since its independence, under threat, and that is Israel. And I think it's a good opportunity for Europe to wake up and realize that what we have experienced during all of my life, that we live in peace and safety and security, is not anything that we should take for granted. And certainly the Jewish people have had to live under these threats constantly. For that reason, it's interesting to note there was this new survey which is trying to figure out who are the happiest people in the world. Finland, number one, of course, but within the top 10 you have Israel, and I think this is a miracle in itself, that here we have a people that have just managed to get on with life, knowing that they live under a constant, even existential threat. And even as we are here in Brussels, at least 11 people have died so far in terrorist attacks taking place in Israel, inside Israel. Terrorists and those who are against normalization and peace at any cost. We have on the one hand amazing spirit of rapprochement between Israel and her Arab neighbors, but then we have those who at any cost would like to prevent this normalization. And behind most of them we have Iran, the greatest sponsor of terrorism in that whole region. One of the things that we reflected on in the European report as well is that as much as we are trying to contain Russia, as much as we are trying to stand up against the aggression of Russia in Ukraine, we have to remember, we have to take the threat from Iran seriously. And there can be no double talk. We cannot ask the world community to sanction Russia here in Europe while we at the same time try to empower them, put our trust in them in the nuclear talks in Vienna. If things go as they seem to be going at the moment, this would empower both Russia and Iran. And that is a very dangerous situation, both in the Middle East, but also here in Europe. But we will continue to do our European reports. I can already now say that next month we expect a conversation about how the younger generation can get involved in fighting anti-Semitism in Europe, and we hope to have Rebecca Goba in the studio, and I'm certainly looking very much forward to watch that program. But for now, over and out from Brussels.